Hello everyone, it's DA here. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you are doing amazing. So we have another Anthem build video today, and this one is going to serve as a little bit of a part 2 to the video that we had earlier. So a lot of times we have universal mods and certain stats that are just so valuable to us that we want to put it on every single thing. And this is going to be leaning into the sides of builds that we have to avoid, or the cautions that we have to take when it comes to making builds. And a lot of times you will see, or we will find ourselves trying to force a specific build into the playstyle that we want. So we will be going through each javelin, and if you have any additional suggestions, feel free to leave it below in the comment section. So what are some of these things that we are talking about? Well, we will first be looking into physical and elemental damage types. This is where you want to understand what your javelin is capable of, or what your javelin is built around. When it comes to physical damage, you have blast and impact. Impact will work on knockbacks and help you a little bit against shielded targets. The blast damage will amplify the type of damage that you are dealing. On a ranger javelin, blast is going to be effective and useful on guns and abilities. And on the ranger, again, when it comes to impact damage, it will be useful and effective on guns and abilities. You will notice that I only mentioned guns and abilities, and that is because all the physical damage types are useless when it comes to melee on ranger. The ranger's melee is just worthless at this point in the game. Maybe if the ranger gets a sword in the future, then it will be worth something. And because the melee is basically a primer, it is one of the worst things that they could have ever done when it comes to the design of this javelin. For the Storm Javelin, the blast and the impact damage is useful on guns, and that is going to be it. Anything physical is useless on Storm's abilities and the melee. This is why the melee doesn't have any weight to it. This is why it feels like a baby slap whenever you melee with the Storm Javelin, because everything is all elemental. The only type of physical damage that the Storm can deal will be through the weapons. Interceptor is a great javelin when it comes to impact, and the Colossus is also another great one when it comes to impact and blast damage. You will see a lot of benefits when it comes to guns, melees, and abilities. These are very important when you are trying to make your builds, because you want to use your mods and your weapons and those stats to amplify what your javelin can already do or is capable of doing. I say this because the game will give you some universal mods or some universal stats, but they will be semi-useless on certain javelins unless you try to squeeze it in. And if you do so, the components or mod will only be benefiting one small thing and could be a big sacrifice for, just one thing. You're sacrificing a mod slot for a tiny speck of stats. The next thing we're going to be talking about is going to be elemental affinity in builds. Starting with a Storm Javelin, acid element is useless on Storm, and we have to know that because the Storm doesn't have acid. Now here's the catch. There are some universal mods for shotguns, and these shotgun components will add acid to the shotgun damage. Now that is nice in a lot of ways. However, the fact that we cannot amplify that damage with our other abilities means that we're not going to be receiving a lot of benefit from that acid damage. It will be very small compared to if you pair it up with the interceptor, where you can now boost that acid damage. So that is one of the main reasons and one of the things that you have to look for. Now, when you make any build, you really want to capitalize on what the javelin is already good at or okay at. You never want to build for something that the javelin is terrible in. It's like saying, oh, I want to build my interceptor for ice or electric. Yes, it can be nice, but interceptor is going to have the most benefit when it comes to acid damage. I often see people with ranger electric builds, and while they are nice, it is more of a wasted slot or wasted potential if you are building your ranger for electric. The only other thing that electric does is going to be that melee primer, and that is basically useless. We already confirmed that. Now, in terms of the overall build of javelins, ranger abilities will benefit the most from blast and fire damage. Forget about the melee, it's useless. For Storm, Storm will benefit the most from all elements except acid, and you can be versatile with the Storm build. However, physical damage is useless on all abilities on the Storm Javelin. For Interceptor, you will get the most out of impact and acid damage. These damage types combined together will give you the best result, and it will melt a lot of armor. For the Colossus Javelin, you should focus on blast and impact, and for other elements you can pair it up with electric, or my favorite of them all, which is going to be fire damage, which seems to be one of the most powerful elemental types in the game right now. So with that said, you should avoid forceful builds. Yes, some of these alternate builds may work. However, you are going to be sacrificing so much for so little benefit. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.